just want to do a quick update on me living my Class B RV. Actually trying to do this really fast, so I'm going to kind of be silly and it's going to be disorganized, but hopefully short enough that people are willing to sit through the craziness to get the information they want. Anyway, this is my winter 2017-2018 update. This year I'm not staying in an RV park. In the past I've kind of cheated and at least for a month or two a winter gone to an RV park to plug in and have power. I work outside a lot and it's nice to have 120 volt power to run all the heating appliances, open a vent, and dry all your gear out. This year I've kind of got things a bit better at work. I'm working out of two places that not only have good places to leave my gear to dry, but also have showers or whatever. So I've got easy mode this year, so I can just basically live without complication in my RV and shower at work, which is awesome. That's a big benefit, big benefit. People ask me, yeah, do I work? Yeah, I work. I actually make better than median Canadian income. I just don't want to give it away in rent. I like doing this. Anyway, so what's changed since I last did my video? Start off with the furnace. I replaced the furnace. The old furnace was working fine, but I want to try a newer furnace. And I'm not talking about the Dickinson Newport. I do have one of those. I'm talking about the actual RV furnace. It's a Surban NT-16-SE. Weirds me out that I remember that number, but I do. I'm not going to bother putting it in comments. It is what it is. Basically, I took the old 1988 version, and they still make them. Surban still makes the same furnace. It's updated, but it's the same physical dimensions and everything. So I bought the exact same one. It was about 900 bucks Canadian, and I plugged it in. The whole episode took me about 10 to 11 minutes. And most of that was me cleaning out the dust bunnies. When I pulled the old one out, it was all dirty underneath it, and I did a really thorough job cleaning up in there and picking old toothpicks and whatnot out from underneath it. And and there you have it. It is much more efficient on its power, electricity requirements. It uses the same amount of fuel, I'm sure, gas-wise. Why did I do it, despite the fact that I have a Dickinson Newport? It kicks out a ton of heat really fast. If I step into this thing and it's minus 25 degrees Celsius, I want heat fast. Yes, the Dickinson Newport can heat it up in here, but not fast enough for my comfort, so I want a good furnace. And I do winter camping, and I do end up in silly places. It's what I do when I'm not working. Anyway, so I replaced the furnace, and that was a good thing. It was cool. Well worth the money. I don't pay rent, so I might as well have good appliances. I also put on another solar panel. I added a 160 watt solar panel. One of my other videos, I said a good number to shoot for is 500 watts. I'll stand by that. I really think I should have that much. Hard to do on the limited roof space on this. That's why I love Class C's. You know what? You could put 1,000 watts of solar panel up on most of them. Not a problem. More than enough roof space. I'd love that kind of luxury. Along with a ladder to climb up the back and wipe them off if you want to. I don't have a ladder on the back of my RV. Kind of a silly thing to kind of want to have, but yeah, it'd be nice. I can clamber up there standing on the spare tire and all that, but it's not an easy thing for a 50-something-year-old guy to climb up. I'm in pretty decent shape, but it sucks. I don't want to have to do it. I'd rather have a ladder, thank you. It's kind of undignified. I wouldn't want anybody to watch me do it. It'd probably look really funny. Anyway, so I wish I had a ladder and I added a solar panel. So I have a total of 260 watts. It works. That is enough for what I'm doing. 100 watts is more than fine in the summer, by the way. It's in season like this where I'm only getting maybe 20, 30 watts at the peak a day in this kind of weather. And you can't see anything because it's all fogged up in here. Oh well. Anyway, I'm at the Esquimalt Lagoon, is where I'm at. Parked right now, just waiting to go into work, and I'm going to grab some quick lunch and then head in. I'm working much later right now, so made this video possible. What else did I add? Oh yeah, I had the bomb in the wall the last time I did a video, which is the buddy heater. I believe I said this is exactly what you shouldn't do and what I'm doing. Don't do it. Well, I got rid of that thing shortly after the video and put a proper heater, which is a Dickinson Newport 12,000. I did learn something kind of interesting on the Dickinson line of heaters. If you watch a video, dreadful video by the way, but if you kind of skip through and watch a part where I'm showing the blower on full speed on my Dickinson Newport 12,000 review from when I had one on my boat, the fan is horrendously loud. I'm going to wind this thing open full speed. You can probably, the camera's picking up the fan, unfortunately. Actually, turn it right off just for the rest of the video. It sounded like a hairdryer going. You can hear me over it, but just barely, and it's really an uncomfortable sound. Well, what Dickinson has done is changed the fan. So on my old version, had a fan with a steel blade, steel housing. If you look under yours, and it has that's the old style. The new style uses a 3-inch case fan for a computer, or a 120 millimeter fan. If you type these into Google, you'll come up with a huge array of fans running from anything from $4 to $120 with LED lights, whatever. Why? Because people building custom computers, desktop computers for high-end gaming, whatnot, are purchasing these fans and putting them in. I know, I've done it. I just didn't realize it was the exact same fan. When I looked under, I was like, oh, for crying out loud, that's what they've done. And how this started is I called Dickinson and said, hey, do you have any of the old fans? And they gave me a couple options, one being buying the original style of steel fan, which they still use in their diesel heaters, by the way, but neither the 12,000 or 9,000 use it. They're with the cheap plastic computer case fan. Now, Dickinson sells that fan as the plastic replacement for $49, the steel one for over $100. I punched in the part number on my little plastic fan that they're selling the replacement for $49. I could replace it for $11 on Amazon. That being said, I looked it up, the statistics, all the stuff on it, and it's 47 CFM. So I've tax included. I think it's $25. I bought a 200 CFM one, and I'm going to put that in there and bump up my output on my fan. Why is this important? Well, I noticed on my old heater, well, first of all, it kicked out way more heat than what I'm getting out of this thing. Now, this thing's fine for probably 90% of the users, but for people that trek up into snow country and go sub-zero and do stupid things like that, no, this fan's not enough. It's kicking out enough BTU. Problem is, I'm losing that BTU out the exhaust. My exhaust pipe, or actually air intake tube, and deck cap are all getting really, really hot. Unlike my original one, they were warm to the touch, but they never actually got hot because everything was kept cool by the flow of air getting pumped through, and that warm air was getting dumped into my living compartment, like where I wanted it. Now I'm losing a lot of it outside. That's a problem. So I'm changing the fan. Dickinson kind of considers it a product improvement, and I think it is, because it uses so much less power. It really does. Like, this thing uses no power whatsoever. My voltage doesn't budge if I leave this thing running all day and I'm getting no power off the solar panel. That's nice to have. And like I say, for 90% of the users of this thing, that's going to be fine. So it was, yeah, they cut their costs, but yeah, it was kind of a good change. I like it because I can go out there and put whatever type of 3-inch case fan I want on it, all the way up to some really bizarre high CFM fans, and I'll probably still be ahead on power draw compared to what the original steel housing, steel fan blade thing was on it. But like I say, you can still get it. The steel fan part number is 01-031. You can go to the Dickinson site and find it or whatever. And like I say, both the 9,000 and 12,000 use the same fan. So I think all of a sudden this kind of blurs the heat output of both the 9,000 and 12,000. I suspect you put a good strong fan on the 9,000, you can get a lot of heat out of that little sucker. Because, you know, the BTU ratings really don't mean much if you're losing most of your heat outside. If you're getting all that heat inside, I think they're both can be overkill in the right RV. I thought that was kind of interesting, and I thought I'd pass that along in this video. If you don't see anything from me about putting the fan in, you know it worked well and I'm happy or whatever. I kind of suspect it'll be fine. It'll just be kind of an in-between of my original and what I've got in this one right now, which will be good. This one's pretty much passable the way it is now for me. I just like a little more heat. What else was I going to talk about? I guess that's it. Other than RV living is still relevant. Median house price in Canada is $487,000. If you take the two hot markets out of it, Vancouver and Toronto, it drops down to $374,000. Put this in perspective, the median income in Canada is $34,000. That means a working couple at median income, $68,000, not by half can afford the average house outside of Toronto and Vancouver. That's a housing bubble of enormous proportions. Two things are going to happen. Our housing market's going to crash. Canada's just pretty much going to economically fold for a while because our housing market's huge. I think it's over 20% of our economy. It's a big portion of our economy. It's going to be a lot of job losses. It's just going to be a disaster. It's basically going to be a hold my beer moment. U.S. watch what Canada does when compared to what happened to them in 2007, 8, 9 kind of thing. We're going to do it, but much worse potentially. Either that's going to happen, our housing bubble is going to pop, or things are going to keep going the same, and wealthy foreign buyers are eventually going to push Canadians entirely off their land. That's kind of the direction it's going. It's a slow push west. It's kind of already happened in Vancouver, and it's happening here in Victoria. The only people buying houses here really are people that are already established in the housing market from other parts of Canada. They're wealthy and they're coming here to kind of finish out their years. Awesome, that's fine. There's no problem with that. Problem is the average Canadian can't afford housing. It's kind of an issue. It's kind of funny. I read an article. I'm going to wrap this up quick. I read an article in the Financial Post, and it was basically the housing industry, developers, and the real estate group complaining that millennials aren't entering the real estate market. It's like, are you guys stupid? They can't afford to. The only way you can get into the real estate market is to already have been in it. If I wanted to jump into the real estate market, it would be really tight. But I could. Would I? No. No way. No way. You know, as much as I don't favor the stock market and that, I think my money's far safer parked there than it is in the real estate industry, particularly right now. You know what? If you've been in it all along and you're looking for a time to get out, I mean, none of my business, but I'd start thinking about it. It's like we're in a ginormous bubble. Pretty crazy. Anyway, so that's why I think living in an RV really applies to maybe an option on how to live and not throw away your money paying rent. Or, heaven forbid, tying yourself into an overheated real estate market, which could end very, very painfully, i.e. the underwater mortgage, the bankruptcies, all that. Don't jump in line for that. I think we're going to see that here in Canada. And like I say, hold your beer, U.S. Watch how Canada does it, and does it even worse. Real redneck of us. Awesome. Anyway, that's it for now. If you have any questions or comments, please do leave them below, and I will respond to them, probably in a big wall of text rather than shooting videos. I don't shoot videos all that often. I'm not inclined to. It's just something I don't do very often these days. But I will keep doing these updates from time to time if something major happens. But for the most part, I'm pretty quick at answering comments. Way, way quicker than doing videos, so feel free to leave them down below and I'll jump back at you and hopefully give you something useful. Anyway, from Victoria, BC, have a great day.